On this, let's bring in Swaran Singh in New Delhi. He's a professor of international politics at Jawaharlal Nehru University. Welcome back to the programme, Professor. Now, the Strait of Hormuz remains effectively restricted. Are traders focusing too much on military developments and not enough on the physical flow of oil?
Thank you. Indeed, the military strikes and the tension make much greater media headlines. And yes, it is true that the actual flow of traffic sometimes is not so much in the media headlines. But it is also true that the traffic has really been affected. More than traffic, the trust of shipping companies, of nations, and of course the crew on those ships has been shaken deeply. And that doesn't really revive very quickly. So I agree with you that yes, military strikes make greater headlines. And there is need to not completely overlook that there has been completely no stopping of the traffic, but traffic has really come down. And that continues to be an issue of worry, because even when ceasefire is signed, agreed, guns stop shooting, the trust takes really longer time to revive. And meanwhile, the insurance premiums, the risks, the suspicions, the uncertainties take much longer time to really rectify over a period of time. So I agree. We need to focus on the holistic picture and not just on the media covering only military strikes, but they really impact everything else. And therefore, I think they, to some extent, also deserve to be really noticed.
Now, Washington demands total freedom of navigation while Iran wants a regulated transit system along its coast. Is there any real middle ground between those two positions?
Again, I think the middle ground has to be only operational in terms of de-risking, de-confliction mechanisms like naval hotlines or other kind of confidence-building measures. Because legally, there is a very strong structural fault line where Iran considers this as an issue of sovereignty in terms of territorial waters, and United States interprets international law in terms of global commons in that sense. And incidentally, neither Iran nor United States are signatories, or they have not ratified UNCLOS, which is United Nations Convention on the Law of Sea. So that is a complicated matter if one takes a legal approach, but a political approach to find an operational solution, which is how the MOU had partly made a concession to Iran, saying that Iran and Oman will begin talks to think of joint management of the Strait of Hormuz. That was, I think, very, very effective way of dealing with it. But given the fact that the politics keeps intervening, and therefore the worst case scenarios and the hard positions sometimes push for legal interpretations that lead us nowhere. So it only has to be operational solution in terms of give and take rather than pushing for legal lines.
So it's been quite a volatile few months for oil prices. If another spark sends Brent back over $100 a barrel, do major consuming nations actually have enough buffer left to stabilize supply?
I think answer here is both in yes and no. Given the fact that the Gulf region simply accounts for about 22% of crude oil exports. So the consuming nations do have other alternatives, and they are exploring other alternatives, except that they are going to be much more costlier, much more uncertain, and they will have additional costs. Second, I also want to underline the fact that given the fact that this tension has continuously gone on for more than 4 months, the reserves are also getting depleted, and beyond a certain bottom line, those strategic petroleum reserves infrastructure also gets impacted if you can't simply empty them completely. And third, I think the International Energy Agency, which has about 32 members, sometimes comes to rescue to balance the situation, but it's only 32 nations. A large number of other nations, including India, would not be benefiting from that kind of balancing exercise. So in long run, it is a serious disruption, and therefore serious costs attached particularly to countries that are enormously dependent. Countries like Japan, South Korea are enormously dependent on Gulf oil. And that has seen, in the sense, even the kind of impact on their currencies, whether it is yen, won, or Indian rupee, have seen volatility and have got impacted in that sense. So yes, serious impact on some of the nations, particularly dependent on Gulf oil and gas and fertilizer. But at the global level, also a certain amount of impact, because World Bank itself is now revising for this year inflation by the 1 percentage point to 4.7%. Growth has been brought down from 3.6 to 3% now. So to some extent, even global economy is getting impacted. And of course, the immediate region that depends on Gulf oil, etc., is impacted much more. So disruption is definitely daunting. The nations are struggling to deal with it, but there are no easy solutions, particularly because no peace talks are moving forward.
Professor Swaran Singh in New Delhi, great to have your insights. Thank you.